What if the reason you feel busy but not always fulfilled, focused but not always grounded, isn't because you lack clarity, but because you haven't fully anchored yourself in what truly matters to you? Not goals, not plans, but values. Welcome back to Confident Leadership in Color. If you listen to the previous episodes, you remember that we have been slowing things down. We have reflected and we have also looked ahead. And we have done this by imagining ourselves already there in the future. So today we take the next step on that journey, because reflection on its own is not enough, and action without anchoring often turns into just one more to-do thing on the to-do list. It's very easy to skip, easy to forget, especially when everything else starts piling up. So today we talk about values and why they are quiet force that keeps direction alive over time. The new year has already begun, and perhaps you feel it too. That quiet pull between reflection and action. Not quite ready to get moving, but not wanting to stay still either. That in-between space is exactly where I want to meet you today. As this year rolled in, I'm taking the time to reflect and evaluate 2025 from a personal perspective, a business perspective, and also my role as a chair of a church I'm joyfully involved in. Right now we're in the middle of preparing for our annual meeting, which naturally brings a lot of reflection with it. It's looking back what has happened during the year, but it also gets the time for beginning to shape direction for what comes next. Yet, even with all of that, I'm still in a soft start of the year. I allowed January to arrive gently without setting all of my goals straight away. They become clearer as the month unfolds. One goal, however, was already set: to publish one podcast episode every week for 52 weeks. So here we are, episode 37. And suddenly that goal feels very reachable. A reminder that goals don't only belong to January. They can be set, revisited and renewed at any point during the year. And if you're new to the podcast, hit follow straight away so you don't miss future episodes. And thank you for all your kind comments, likes and reviews. It truly means a great deal. I'm Hanna Zaxmy, your leadership coach, and this podcast is your confidence boost in color. Let's go. One of my strengths is focus. When I decide on a goal, I'm very good at moving towards it, and I'm really stubborn too. That focus has helped me to achieve a lot, but it also has a shadow side. And no, I'm not talking about how my husband sometimes comments on the ever-growing list of house renovating projects I am having going on. Well, yeah, it's part of it, because I tend to see what needs to be done and have a great vision, and then I want to act on it quickly, which means I can become too action-oriented, too driven, always moving. Over the past few years, I have intentionally worked on changing that by asking myself different types of questions. What actually matters most right now? And how do I want to be while I'm doing this? What kind of conditions do I need in order to succeed sustainably? That shift has changed not just what I do, but also how I lead myself. I spent many years working in environments heavily driven by measurable goals, particularly in finance and IT. Target, KPIs, etc. And yes, bonuses. That you get. Bonuses are nice. But over time I realized that's something other. That money was never what truly motivated me. What drove me was the learning, the development, what I discovered about myself and others along the way. Knowledge stays, experience stays, perspective stays. So I often negotiated education instead, courses, conferences, and by that, ability to come to new environments, meet new people. And every time I returned to the daily work, I had new ideas to test. That also created additional result for the company. And that's when I understood this. Goals may tell us where to go, but values determine why we keep on going and guides our decision. So when you set a goal, or when goals are handed to you, which is very common, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what will help me to keep focus and drive when motivation fades? What result does this goal really give me? How does it connect to my or the organization's direction and vision? Many New Year's goals are lifestyle-based, like exercise more, stop smoking, eat less sugar. The challenge with those goals is how easy it's to feel done after just a few attempts, like a few workouts, a few smoke-free days, or not eating candy in a few days. That's why it helps to define what this change means for who you are becoming, who you identify as, who you want to be. And that's where values together with habits become essentials. For me, what truly drove me to accomplish goals was the learning along the way, the development opportunity. Development is one of my personal values. And yes, I have also a strong value around responsibility and accountability, which means I genuinely enjoy ticking things off. Yeah, that sense of this is done, that is so satisfying. I won't deny that. So, how about you? The church I'm part of has recently celebrated 150 years. That perspective humbles me. 4 people gathered in 1874 with a vision to make a difference, right where they were. They took action, started small, and then evolved over time. They are no longer with us, but the vision continues. Over the past years, we have been updating our shared direction, walking together, literally, in a future-focused conversations. I love those moments. They create images, feelings, and a sense of belonging. Just like the exercise we did together in the previous episode. Like imagine yourself already in the future. When more people can see themselves in a vision, part of it, engagement grows, ownership grows, confidence grows. And that's true in organizations, teams, and in your own life. To accomplish a vision, there are many possible paths. Because each of us is unique and each organization is built from different individuals. That's why we also need to pay attention to who we want to be and how we want to act as a result of that. The vision that was articulated over 150 years ago for our church is still partly relevant, but it has also grown and been adjusted. Because we have learned things along the way, we have built things, and also because the world around us has changed. I haven't found documents that clearly state values from those early years. But when I look at the older generation in the church, I can see common threads. I believe those threads reflect values that were lived. Values embodied by people who became role models over time. A few years ago, we defined our values together. One of them is welcoming. We act on this intentionally. We talk about it and we also act on it. And I'm always deeply happy to hear new people say things like, "Oh, I felt at home at the moment I walked in. I truly felt welcome." And as we now enter a new year with new ambitions, including exploring maybe a new social meeting place or such, that value, welcoming, will be essential in how we act and make decisions. Vision needs values to come alive. A vision without values stays abstract. Values answer the questions like, who do we want to be? How do we want to make decisions? And what guides us when things aren't clear? They act as a filter and a compass and a steady reference point. Whenever a vision evolves, values must also be revisited. Not rewritten for the sake of it, but clarified, lived, and translated into behavior. So let's zoom in. Values are a reflection of who you want to be. Think of someone who matters or has mattered to you. A role model, a person who, even after leaving the room, still fills the space with something good. What are they known for? What do they consistently show? One of my close friends has an incredible ability to spread joy. She encourages others naturally, even when she herself has difficult days. I never asked her to define her values, but her action speaks clearly, and the result she creates aligns strongly with joy and motivation or encouragement. Some values come with us easily and very early in age. Others, they evolve. Sometimes the name stays the same, but the meaning deepens. And that's allowed. So let me ask you, what do you want to be known for? What kind of afterfeel do you want to leave in a room? What would people say about you when you're not there? If you name that as a value, what would it be? Trust, responsibility, encouragement, care, courage? Choose a few. 3 to 5 is often enough. And then define them. What do they look like in action, in decisions, in everyday behavior? The clearer your values are, the easier leadership becomes. Organizations often revisit visions every few years. Strategies are aligned, plans are built. But values are often left vague or not evolved. And when the values aren't actively lived, they slowly fade. That's why I love bringing values into conversation with teams. How do we actually show this value? Where does it guide our decisions? And where are we strong? And where are we avoiding something uncomfortable? This conversation creates alignment through shared understanding. As you look ahead this year at what you want to create, experience, or change, let your values guide you. Let them be part of how you act, chooses, and lead. For each goal or ambition you set, take time to reflect. Which of my values will help me to achieve this? When I reach the goal, how do I want to describe how I lived my values along the way? And how do my decisions reflect what truly matters to me? In the next episode, we continue this journey and explore habits as the bridge between values and everyday life. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to stay connected. Follow the podcast so you don't miss future episodes. Leave a rating or a short review. It helps others to find the space. And if you know someone who would appreciate this episode, feel free to share it. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, be confident, be you.